Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to my podcast. Thank you for coming for another week. This podcast is called Dejah Brew, and I am your host, Dejah Olson. So today we got our coffee. It is what would I say? An iced hazelnut coffee. I don't really know how to describe it when I just make it at home. It's just called my iced coffee and with hazelnut creamer. And it's very delicious. So join me and grab a coffee, grab a tea, whatever you like to drink, and let's just talk. It's been a whole week. I'm very happy to be talking to you again. I really love doing this. It's so fun. Okay, today I want to talk about New York City. In New York. Yeah. Question, did I sing that song when I was in New York? Empire State of Mind by Alicia Keys and Jay-Z? Yes. Yes, I did. Because how can you not? Okay, so for this episode, if you're on YouTube, you can see I got a notes page because I was told I can get sidetracked when I'm storytelling, and yeah, yep, that's me. So I have a little notes page so I can stay on track through the story time. Okay, anyway, let's just get right into it. Okay, New York City, the Big Apple. Okay, right now it is May 19th of 2023, and my birthday was end of February, and a month before my birthday, I had a random thought on my way to work that morning, and I was like, I spent the last 10 birthdays now in Nebraska. And I think that's kind of boring. So I was like, why don't I just go somewhere fun this year? Go somewhere crazy. Just have fun. And I was like, oh, New York. Because I had been listening to the song a lot. I discovered the Empire State of Mind version that's just Alicia Keys. I've never heard the one of just her, and it's so beautiful. You should go check it out. And I was like, wow, could that work? Could I go to New York for my birthday? And I was like, that would be such a fun girls trip because I have two besties, two of my girlfriends, and I was like, how about, okay, before I even plan anything, get too excited, let me text them and ask them if they'd be down for that. And they probably both responded within 10 minutes, and they're hell yeah, or of course I'd love to go. And I was like, okay, confirmation. And I was already at work, so I'm I asked my manager, I was like, can I have blah 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 dates off? And she's like, okay. And she's like, where are you going? I was like, New York. She's like, oh, that would be so cool. Yeah, she what's it called? She likes my adventures as well. She is encouraging, which is awesome. I love her. Okay. Anyway, see, there I get sidetracked again. Okay. So once I got the dates off, I got my friends on board, and I was like, girls, I'll treat you to this trip. We'll all pay for our stuff when we get there, but I'm the one deciding to go. So I got our hotels and our flights, and those were terrible because okay, cost is something I really wanted to talk about because I feel like a lot of people just know that New York is considered really expensive, one of the most expensive places to live kind of in the United States, and just such a humongous city. And so I have a couple things that I want to talk about, the pricing. I don't know, maybe you'll never go to New York, maybe you're planning on going. I don't know, one day if you go to New York, maybe this stuff will come in handy. So a flight to New York, okay, that one wasn't too bad. I always try to book flights when I'm looking into them, ones that are round trip, because, okay, well, round trip, but I meant also straight shot. You don't have to stop anywhere for a layover. And I know sometimes it could be cheaper to do a layover, but you gotta be really careful with those because sometimes it's a 4 hour layover in Denver. I don't know, just in random places. And if you don't have much time off or you want to enjoy the place you're going to, it's like you might as well just try to get that straight shot. You don't have to worry about, I don't know, not having, like sometimes it could be 4 hours or sometimes it could be like 15 minutes before you have to board the next plane. You have to run across the airport, and I just don't want to deal with that. So I found 3 tickets that were just straight through, and they're about $400 each, which is pricey, of course, like that's expensive, but round trip, New York, you know, not too bad, reasonable. And then once we got to the airport, oh my goodness, the New York airport is so cool. Like, definitely the coolest airport I've ever been into, because it has this one like fountain thing, and the water falls from the ceiling in a circle, and they're all just coming down like droplets of water, and then there's words, like somehow it's like words are like projected on, it's like welcome to New York City airport or something like that, and it's just so cool. And there's like a whole wall that's like painted really cool of like, I don't know, like characters from like shows and stuff, and it's just awesome, so cool. So once we got our bags and we were walking towards the exit, it was like, okay, the first decision of New York, are we gonna Uber or are we gonna Subway? And we didn't know how to get to the Subway yet, so an Uber, super easy. I already downloaded the app before we even went, and that wasn't too bad. It was really easy. It was just like, it even had like the exact terminal number we were at just to put into the app. Great, perfect, awesome. But the downside, well, my friends, they were like, yeah, let's take an Uber, you know, I want to see the city, like let's look at the city as we go into it for the first time. I'm like, okay. And then I pay for the ride, and then it's like $50 or $60 for a 30-minute ride from the airport, just from the airport to our Airbnb that was in the middle of the city. So Ubers, they're definitely not worth it in my opinion. And our Uber driver didn't even talk. Okay, we didn't really talk either, but if he would have just like said one question, I would have kept talking. We probably all would have kept talking the whole way. But that's okay. He was really busy. He was focused on the road, like that interstate and stuff in New York City. I have no clue how you could drive on that. So he did a great job though. And then throughout our trip, another thing, well, we were like, okay, Uber's just too much, you know. That's not going to be our vibe for this trip. So instead, we just walked everywhere. We walked or we took the subway, and those just worked so good. Like, a subway, okay, some people might think it's like dingy and old, but when I went down there, I was like, this is one of the coolest things ever. Like, I've seen subways back when I was in like elementary school on like Jessie on Disney Channel. I would watch Jessie. I don't know. It was a really good show. And they took the subway because they lived in New York City. And I was like, I'm like in the subway right now. This is so cool. And you just get in. Well, you buy a pass, or you could just pay on your phone each time. It has one of those like card readers if you have your card on your phone, and then, or just the card in general with the tap feature. And it's $2.50 a ride, which isn't too bad because we took the subway from, where did we were in about like Central Park by just like mid-Manhattan, and we took it all the way down to the Brooklyn Bridge, to like an exit by Chinatown that's down by the Brooklyn Bridge, and all for $2.50. Like, that would cost at least like $50-$60 again if we would have taken an Uber. So subways are definitely recommended. And if I'm being honest, I'm just different. I don't know how else to describe it, but I really wanted to see a rat in the subway. I'm being 100% serious. I told everyone this before we went, and I told my girlies once we got there, like, I want to see a rat in the subway. Everyone keep a lookout. If you see one, you, like, tell me. It could have been anywhere, but, like, I just figured they'd be in the subway because we're so low below the city. And I never saw one. And that's very unfortunate. I used to have pet rats when I was younger, and I don't know. I don't find them scary. I think they're really cute. So I was like, I know it's not a pet. It's like just a wild rat it would be, but I still wanted to see it. Unfortunately, we didn't see it. But for a lot of other people, that's a good thing. And we honestly never had any bad experiences with the subway. One time we had to wait kind of a long time for the train, but we weren't really in a hurry, so it didn't really matter. And then on one of the subway rides, it was really late at night, probably like around 10 at night, 10:30 or something. We were trying to just make our way back to our Airbnb, and this guy, he was not doing good. Like, he was older, and he had a walker next to him, but he was sitting down, and he just was like, he kept hacking, like coughing up a storm, like hacking, like that, like, oh, that like guttural sound of it was bad. And then he just threw up, like right on the subway, and we're moving so fast, and like this subway does not go straight the whole time. It goes straight, and then it goes side, side, side. You're kind of like moving all around in the subway car, so I gotta like actually have to hang on really tight to the poles and like the side rails. And he threw up, and then he just kept throwing up. Like, it was a lot. Sorry, I know this is gross. I was there. It's worse having the actual image in your head. But that was the only bad experience because he was towards the front, like sitting, yeah, closer to the front of the train than us. And then since the train was moving, the liquid on the ground was like going backwards to us, and we had to like put our feet up. It was so gross. But that was the only bad experience. We use a subway every single day we were there, and it was definitely 9.5 out of 10. That just one instance took off that last 0.5%. But you can also get to the airport through the subway, which is awesome. That's what we did on our very last day. Because I was like, guys, are you good with like trying to find how to like take the subway to the airport instead of like Uber? And like, yeah, let's do that. And we had to get off like 2 different times, like switch subway cars maybe twice, and then we got on like a free tram that takes you to the airport, and that was really nice. It was like a really long bus, and that took us right to our gate. And yeah, so if we had to switch subways twice, that was like $5 each, so $15 in all compared to 50 or 60. So that was definitely the way to go. Okay, enough about subways. I'm just kind of passionate about them because I think they're so cool. Okay, next is Airbnbs and hotels. Okay, I know it was only like, I only had a month to prepare before we actually went on the trip, but I did my research. I looked into so many different options, Airbnbs, hotels, even like hostels, just to see what was out there and what we like could afford. And hotels are so expensive, like just crazy expensive. And I almost went with one, and it would have been, we stayed there for 3 nights, and it was like $800 for all 3 nights, because I actually did check out. I made sure that I had cancellation policy. Of course, you gotta make sure at least a few day cancellation policy just to make sure. And it seemed like a really good one. It had a picture of like a beautiful landscape in the hotel window of like one of the bridges across the water, like a view of that. That is so cool. And then once I checked out, I got my confirmation email, blah, 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 all those millions of emails they send you. And in one of the emails, it said, upgrade to a room with a view of the riverfront and your own private bathroom. I was like, are you for real? Like $250+ a night for a hotel room that doesn't have its own bathroom. Like it would have to have like a common whatever shared bathroom outside, like in the hallway, and it didn't even have the view that the stupid ad had. Oh my gosh, that was really annoying. So thankfully cancellation policies exist, and I canceled as soon as I saw that, and I got refunded, and it's all good. So also with hotels, I'm 19, right? Oh no, I was 18 because we went a Thursday to Sunday, and then my birthday was on Monday. So I was still 18 doing this, and I was trying to like, I was like, oh, might not be able to stay at hotels, like rent them, because I think for the most part in other places, I think it's 18 you can rent get a hotel for a night, but some places are 21, and I didn't know that. One of my friends that had just gone to New York told me about that, and I looked into it, and then when I'd find a hotel I really liked, it had all the goodies. It even would have like the breakfast, complimentary breakfast, and then I would call because I wanted to be sure. I didn't want to have any problems when we get there. And then they're like, oh yeah, we're only 21 and up, because there's like a bar there. Like, really? Are you for real right now? But it all worked out because those would have been more expensive. So then went and looked on Airbnb, and you know how you can not share, but you can put different houses like on your wish list. So I had that going. I had like 4 or 5 different places to stay, and I read all the reviews if that was a good place to stay, and there was one I really liked. Yeah, it would have been a really good one. Like, it had 3 different beds. We could all have our own bed, each of us, and it was like an actual whole apartment, and that would have been really nice. But it didn't have a cancellation policy, only like a few day cancellation policy, and I was a little nervous because of that hotel situation. So I was like, no, not yet. But then when I went back on it, when I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna do it, and pull the trigger, and then it was gone. Someone rented it for those days. I was like, dang it. And we ended up getting an Airbnb, and it cost about $600 for the whole thing, which isn't terrible. $200 a night is still a lot. But for New York, when other hotels, like that one that was $250 a night was like a cheaper hotel. They can be so expensive. And when, I don't know, the picture, it looked nice. It had all we needed. It had a double queen bunk bed. So two queen beds, and it had a little kitchenette, and it had its own bathroom, and that was very important. And even a little desk with a mirror. Like, okay. So I got that one, and then fast forward, we get to the apartment building. Our expensive Uber drops us off right outside. He parks in the middle of the street, just like blocks traffic, parks in the middle of the street, gets our bags out, and then we say, thank you, have a good day. And then we went in, we got our keys, and the keys were 227. Our room number was 227. And you can see I have a 227 tattoo that I got when we were in New York. And it was like, what are the odds? Because my birthday's February 27th. I don't know. Okay. I just thought that was really cool. And then we opened up our room door, and the room was so small. Like, comically small. Like, those pictures on Airbnb, they had a good photographer making it look way bigger than it was. And we weren't really mad about it. We kind of just laughed it off. And luckily, the ceilings were super tall. I don't even want to guess, like 15 feet. I don't know. I really have no clue. Like, another bunk bed could have probably stacked on top of ours. And yeah, that was just a lot smaller than we were expecting, but it had everything we needed. It was super clean, and for the most part, when we were in there, all 3 of us, we would just all climb up to the top bunk, and it had a TV. That was nice, a TV with a Roku. And it's kind of funny in Airbnbs, I've noticed people sign into their account, like Netflix or Hulu and things like that, and then they never sign back out. So just anyone can use their streaming services, which is really nice. And so yeah, for the most part, we would all just climb up to the top bunk, and I feel like you felt the least claustrophobic up there, which was nice. And then we would like watch TV, watch a little show at night, and of course I'd be the first one to fall asleep because we had been out all day. But either way, it was nice. You know, it did its job, and we had room. We had enough for just the three of us. Like, we were good. And had our own shower. It had a cute little tile, like, walk-in shower. Those are my favorite. They're just so cool. So that was our Airbnb situation. And next, I want to talk about the attractions. All the fun places we went to. Because, you know, we did the touristy things. Because it's our first time in New York. Will it be our last time? Maybe. So we just wanted to like go see as much as we could because we're there. So I'm gonna like tell you the things that we went to see, and then I'll tell you the best ones, my favorite ones. So we went to Grand Central Terminal. That was so cool. If you've seen Gossip Girl, that's where Serena, it's like in the first scene of Gossip Girl of the whole show, where when she comes back after going to boarding school. And then we went to the Empire State Building. We went to Finelli Cafe. Just really good if you're ever in Soho, New York. It's delicious. And has great waiters. And then we went to the Museum of Ice Cream. Very cool. And Chinatown. And then Little Italy, because I was right by Chinatown. Which are both very cool. Chinatown is just a ton of people trying to sell you fake designer things. But it's kind of a vibe. It's kind of just what they do. And it was cool to just experience that. Even though I don't support that at all. I don't think it's good. People are just ripping off big brands. But whatever. That's just what it was. And then we went to like a gift shop. And then the people were just like trying to talk us up and like trying to give us deals, like, oh, you like that sweatshirt? I'll give it to you for 20 instead of 30. Yeah, because you're a pretty girl, like stuff like that. It was just goofy. And then we went to the 9/11 Memorial. That was so cool, where the World Trade Centers were. It just like, I don't know, like the three of us, we didn't even talk when it came into view. We just took that moment to just like soak it all in that we were there. It was very, very powerful, and I'm just so glad I got to see that. Except what kind of sucked is there's this really, really cool building right by them. So we walked around each of the where the trade centers were, and then there was this really big building, and it looks like a rib cage, like with big white, I don't know, arches. Just a crazy building. And then we walked in there, it's like, oh, that looks cool. We're already just walking around. So we went in there, and then it was literally just a ginormous mall with nice stores. And I was like, I don't know, that kind of gave us like an off vibe, because it felt like they're just trying to capitalize and profit off of people visiting a 9/11 memorial. I don't know. That was just my opinion. And then we walked on Wall Street, and that was so cool because I had just watched The Wolves of Wall Street for the first time, and I was like, Leonardo DiCaprio was walking on these streets, and he was in one of these buildings. That is so awesome. And then we saw the Statue of Liberty. We didn't go like actually on the island because it costs more, and you have to be there for 3 hours before you can come back on the boat. So instead we just took a little tour on a boat, and then it just takes you kind of right in close to it, where it's like right in the background of you. And then we took pictures on the boat with it in the background, and a lot closer than it would have been. And that was definitely worth it. We had a very nice tour guide. He was awesome. And then went to the Brooklyn Bridge, and that was so cool. We went at night, and we walked the entire thing. And we walked over into Brooklyn, and we had dinner over there at a really cool place that has like a rooftop more areas to eat, just a ton of restaurants in just this one thing in Brooklyn, and it was awesome. And the rooftop like bar type thing, we went up there and then you could see all the water and like the Brooklyn Bridge we just crossed. It was so cool. I went to Central Park. That was great. I'm running out of adjectives, but it definitely was great. Just very pretty, you know, a park in a ginormous city. Of course that's gonna be cool. And then we went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, which is very cool. We sat on the Met steps, and my friend and I, we took pictures just like we were Serena and Blair on Gossip Girl. And then Times Square was amazing. Just, I don't know, I don't like advertisements. I don't know if that makes sense, but just, I like nature more than a bunch of screens with advertisements, but this was something different. It was just crazy. So cool. Like all the buildings, and it just lights up the whole night sky. And we saw, it wasn't New Year's, obviously, it was February, but we could see the ball that they drop on Times Square, and that was really cool. And then after that, I don't know, we just walked around Times Square, and it's not just the one strip. Like, there's more buildings and stuff when you walk. I mean, buildings with those advertisements on like other streets that you walk, and it was just so cool. And there's like street performers, and we took a bunch of pictures, went to the M&M store. It was just so awesome. And out of all the places we went, I think my favorites were definitely the Empire State Building. There's so much history, and it's just so cool to view. It's just amazing. And I know I keep talking about Gossip Girl, but it's where Chuck was gonna propose to Blair. We got to be up there. So cool. And I love the Museum of Ice Cream. It was just so random, but it was so fun. It was all like, it felt like kind of an influencer thing, like cool places to take pictures, but just in the middle of New York. Like pink, and there was like sprinkles. It was fake sprinkles, but like a sprinkles pool with diving boards, so you can like jump into a pool of fake sprinkles. It was really cool. And also the Brooklyn Bridge and Times Square. Those are like, you gotta go. If you're ever in New York, you really should go. And I also wouldn't recommend going in the winter. It was definitely cool. I'm so happy we went, but I would love to see it in summer. So if you're ever gonna go, I definitely recommend going in the summer, just because it'll be like a lot warmer out, and then you won't get really cold at night, and you can wear cuter outfits that don't cover you up. You know what I mean? Okay, so the Uber, just recap. Uber, definitely not worth it, but a Subway, very worth it. So just like those couple things I said you should go to, you should definitely take the Subway as well. Unless you're bougie and you got the money and you want to ride Ubers everywhere, go for it. But I recommend the Subway. It's very, very fun. Just a cool experience. At least do it once. And then last thing I want to talk about was exercise. Whew. So, the cost of like, well, we spent a lot of money on food because we got coffee every day, and we had fancy good bagels and dinner every night and stuff like that. But we walked it all off, because when you're in New York, especially if you Subway and just walk the city, you're gonna get so many steps. You're gonna walk so many steps. None of us had like a Fitbit or an Apple Watch, but there's the health app on the iPhone if you have an iPhone, and then it says how many steps you walked, and we would check it every night just for fun, and we got like 20,000 steps a day. And like our feet were definitely hurting when we got home. We were like just tired and ready for bed. We needed a shower. I mean, we would each take a shower and then watch a show for a little bit, and then just done, ready for bed, because all those steps we walked all day. But just great exercise, If you're gonna eat good food, at least we're exercising by walking. So that was New York. Definitely 10 out of 10 recommend. yes, it's expensive, but it's just such a cool place to go to and just to see at least once in your life. So that's all I have for today. I'll see you next week. Have a good week. Bye.